Hello, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, and good evening. Welcome to the SS Chandok Talk Show Season 2. I'm your host and moderator, SS Chandok. In Season 2, when a child takes birth in a home, the parents start thinking, or before the birth also, they start thinking about the education. Education means, where will I admit my child? There are different parameters that the parents have. It may be how old the school is, how famous the school is, how much crowd is over there, or what are the facilities they are providing. And at the very same time, the school administration also has some understanding or they want from the society, from all the stakeholders. Here in SS Chandok Talk Show, we discuss only about the relevant topics. Those people who are viewing this or will view this, it is not only that you like it or you subscribe it, just see the full session whenever you are coming into it. The insightness of these leaders, and these are the prominent leaders who lead the leaders. What are their views about the topic? You will gain a lot of knowledge from them. And of course, that will also bring your personality development. Without taking any time, I am introducing the eminent guest. First of all, we are very delighted to welcome Dr. Lakshmi Kumar ma'am. She is a well-known educationist and intercultural coach. Her expertise spans for establishing quality schools, building team, developing educational process, and initiating best practices for both the school and higher education. She is the founder director of the Orchid School Pune. As the founder director of Orchid School and the visionary for education process that is meaningful and relevant, she strives to bring teaching practices, methods, curriculum in alignment with today's generation of learners. She specializes in social studies, integrated interdisciplinary curriculum, inclusive education, and life skills education for young adults, training them for media literacy, critical thinking, and decision-making process. She provides range of training services and consultation in the area of education, coaching leaders, quality initiatives, and school improvement program. Ma'am specializes in training cultural work mainly for Sweden teachers, social workers, lawyers, nurses who work with multicultural communities. She has been a coordinator and academic supervisor for Sweden India project based in Orbo University for last 25 years at Great Ma'am. She is heading courses for social work program at undergraduate level on role of culture in international social work, authenticity and migration, and transcultural sensitivity for global social work. Her cross-cultural training and consultancy work specializing in cross-cultural training for international assignees in new cultural settings. She is a certified cross-cultural trainer, consultant for calculus, global excellence, global bond, and language cultural worldwide LCM. She has trained international assignees from USA, Australia, UK, Sweden, Canada, China, Japan, and elsewhere on cross-cultural competence and business process. Her special competency is in training international assignees to Indian business environment, especially the HR processes like hiring, team building, leadership styles, feedback system, communication styles, etc. She comes with vast experience of working in India and multicultural business, social and educational environment. Again, I like to say sorry, ma'am, because all of you have so long experience, so many associations you all of you are connected with, so many awards you have been conferred with from non-national and international level. It will take a day's time for all of you. So if 6 of you are over there or 7 of you over there, so it will take 6 to 7 days to talk about you people, because you people are doing so good in your particular field, it may be in education or social work. Welcome, Lakshmi ma'am, and I'd like to know about this, your project which is going on with Sweden, ma'am. Please let us know about, Lakshmi ma'am, about the Sweden project, what you are doing with.
Just to give it to you in a very, very small, nugget, so to say. Right now, let's say you have the Afghanistan crisis. And I have actually met children, unaccompanied children, with no adults. Uh, they've been just put in the bus or train or flights and GLO kind of, And I've met kids coming from all over the world in Sweden. So when children are coming from multicultural, different cultural environment and highly traumatized, uh, uh, the Swedish government realizes that the teachers are very ill-equipped. So you have an Iranian family or a Turkish family, and then you have child with no family. And how do you transact with these children while we all talk about our focus is on the subjects? We know that our real subjects are children. So I have been training teachers to work with children from different cultures. That's one part of the large work that I've been doing. And in Sweden, whenever an immigrant arrives,
Hello.
whether asylum seeker or a refugee, the first contact point is social worker. And the state expects a social worker to help the immigrant acclimatize and assimilate quite quickly. But we all know that there are some parts of culture you can't take away from me, even if I travel under traumatic conditions to go to another land. So I train social workers on how do we help our clients or our assignees or the immigrant of population without giving them the idea that your culture is not important, your culture is inferior, or that your culture has no space and that you have to become quickly Swedish. So it is a lot about cultural sensitivity, cultural ethnocentrism, so that, from an ethnocentric to ethno-relativism, and also helping people adapt without losing their identity, because we know that a lot of world's global political issues are all about also when you deny people of their socio-cultural political identities. So it's about inviting you to be part of a society without defying you, your space, and your cultural background. So that's what I do in this Swedish program.
That's great, ma'am. That's great of you. And this is just because of people like you that Indian education has spread worldwide. There is always a ask for, Indian education all over the world, just because of great leaders like you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, and we are very
Thank you.
thankful
Thank
to you. You have
you.
come over here. Thank you. Welcome.
It's
Next
my
eminent
privilege.
guest we have is Deepika Sharma, ma'am. She is principal of Grand Columbus International School, Faridabad. She has an experience of 25 years in education field. She's a true blue K-12 education and vice president of Saudhya Schools Complex, Faridabad, an education finalist who addressed the nation about the challenges, achievements, and future policies, often seen on News 24 as a guest speaker. That's great. An entrepreneur and early adopter of change who is often seen building new education strategies, developing the latest edtech tools, bringing unique learning program, introducing gamified learning pedagogy, and giving keynote speeches around the world. An exemplary education leader who is determined to raise teaching learning standards in India, looking at preschool, schools, and higher education institutions. An inclusive education diva who ensures an inclusive environment online and offline for children who are differently abled. Her objectives are that engaging students in meaningful play and a sense of inquiry with information, making them some knowledgeable, courageous, confident, and lifelong learner, developing a healthy environment in which a student and a teacher grows necessarily in collaboration and harmony, forming an institute where her team seeks for a greater value of their action and works. And lot many things are all again there in ma'am's brief profile, short profile, which I like, ma'am. Please tell something about you and yourself, that how up you come up in this profession and how are you feeling over there when you work as an educator.
So good evening and thank you for having me, Mr. Chandu. You have given me an opportunity where I can just give a glimpse of this golden age of modern education. I'm pretty excited to be an educator these times, more than before. And like the earlier discussion we had, I find making education relevant is the most important thing that we can do, you know. Wherein, in this industry of education, there are whole sorts of choices that can be made. But at the end, the learner needs to be the one who gains. Now, we are a country of a digital divide. We are a country of huge divides. We spoke about cultural diversification and other things. So it becomes a challenge in itself when you are trying to overcome the teaching learning method where the students at the end, like I said, the learning outcomes need to be met. And we've been having so many changes. We did talk about NEP, but I am excited about the implementation of NEP because that's something that I've been wanting for a very long time. And I think the whole idea of ensuring that whether it's the learner, whether it's the teacher, or any other stakeholder in this entire process, they need to be carried forward together. So, with this being a teacher myself initially and moving on, I've learned and I've tried to use my experience as a teacher to ensure that the learners and other stakeholders equally are taken up. And for any school, to be effective, they need to adapt change. So that's something, which we need to do in this time and era. And like Lakshmi ma'am was also saying, the challenges keep coming. I mean, we had a student today who came back after 6 months. Okay. She could not possibly afford the fee, went to another school, and now she's back. So what happens to that learning gap? How do you make up for that? Okay. And so there are all these things. For me, the end result is that the students or the learner should be the final gainer, and we need to be more practical. I don't want to talk about in a jargon where this learning, that learning. Of course, all of us are into it, and I think all the co-panelists are very learned and esteemed, and really happy that I'm here with them. So for me, I think getting the school together, ensuring my teachers are also with it, that has been a challenge, and I've been wanting to do it. But then finally, it's happy when things fall down and then people come back to you. Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, welcome. And you have such a great experience, and you also, are for us. You are there in the newses also that you present us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome. Next, we have Rajiv Verma, sir. He is principal of Gagan Public School, Greater Noida. He has an experience of 11 years as a TGT and PGT, and in administration, he is there from 2012. He has worked with very different schools, and basically have worked with, I think I've seen that worked with in Meerut only, and now he is working as a principal in Gagan Public School, Greater Noida. Sir, please tell about your journey, that how have you come into education? It is by chance or it was your choice? Sir, you're muted.
Well, good evening, all of you. And my heartiest congratulations to you, sir, for this wonderful platform.
Thank you, sir.
I have come in this profession by choice, not by chance. My father was a teacher in the army. He was in education department. My two sisters, they are also in the same profession. They are the government teachers in Delhi and in the UP. And though I tried to be in the army for the same purpose for the teaching, but anyhow I couldn't make. So I joined this public school long back in 2000 in the millennium year, in the school Millennium Public School in Meerut, right? I started my career with the TGT, PGT, then vice principal, and currently I'm working as a principal in Gagan Public School, Greater Noida. So I found my journey amazing. I mean, I feel very happy when I'm with my teachers and my students in the campus, and busy with them with different purpose. Sometimes in the sports, sometimes in the cultural activities, sometimes in the active teaching learning process in the class, sometimes in the workshops. So I feel very happy when I'm in the context of this teaching profession, and I'm enjoying a lot of this profession.
That's great, sir. That's great. Welcome to you, sir. And I hope that yours is also a CBSE school, sir.
Yeah, my school is CBSE affiliated, and it's up to senior secondary.
Great. Welcome, sir. Next, we have Kajal Chatija, ma'am. She is an enthusiastic and energetic leader in empowering and engaging young minds in innovative and collaborative learning practices. She is also known for creating a cozy environment for her students and teachers so the school becomes a second home for all. She began her career by teaching English and social studies in a school for the deprived children. Having worked with a plethora of well-known schools such as Vipure, High, RIMS International, NIBM, Trinity International, etc., she has been in this profession for the last 15 years and has climbed the ladder of success for being a co-teacher to a principal. Being an eminent speaker and having voiced many leadership conferences, she often participates in the education panel discussions. She has created the e-platform for educators by the name EduDrone We Connect. There are a lot of things which are there in her ma'am's resume, and again, it will take so much time. And ma'am, I had been seeing you on the social media also, and I've been observing that you are everywhere into the media. You are doing social services also. You are the educational platforms also, and you are, I mean, every place you're looking after the school also as an executive director of Gayatri School and Junior College. And how do you get this energy, and what inspires you to do all these things? Please.
First of all, happy evening to all the wonderful leaders. I get energy from you all. I get energy from everyone with whom I interact. And I would love to share this fact that you might have heard. The sentence which I am going to share, you might have heard that when we are surrounded by the powerful people and with whom we interact, we become like them and we try to resonate, and their personality starts reflecting on us. So I hope all great leaders will agree. And I've been very fortunate that, and I have, you can consider I have legacy of big, great, incredible leaders who have worked on me, and I call them as makers of Kajal. And
That's
this
great, ma'am.
energy, as you said, from where this energy comes, see, educators are surrounded by young energy, children. So when we are with children, they keep us young. And we
That is
can
great.
never be old.
Yes, yes. This I remember my first principal 25 years back, because I'm also into education field from last 25 years. My first principal, when I went to him, so he said me that I will never be above 18 years age because I'm into with them throughout my life. He was getting somewhere around 60. So he said, I am only 18 and I'll never grow. So this is all, it is all there. When you are with the kids, you are always like a kid over there. That's great, ma'am. Welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you. Next
Thank you.
panelist we have is Sarna Kapoor, ma'am. She is a principal and an administrator. First, let me introduce, she's principal in Ramagya School, Dadri, Ghaziabad. She had been in Kanpur also. She has been in Ellen House School also in Ghaziabad. And now she is principal in Ramagya School, Ghaziabad. She has an experience of more than 20 years in education, and she is currently working in a countryside school and is a mentor to wonderful and curious students. She has been associated with Microsoft since 2018 and have completed more than 150 courses, owing to which she has been awarded with the title of Microsoft Innovative Expert. She is certified with National Geographic Educator and a certified Apple teacher. She had been associated with these institutions and have worked hard towards learning innovative techniques by collaborating with people all around the world to help her students to become a global citizen. Owing to the collaborations with fellow educators on Microsoft, her students and herself has broken through the elementary classrooms and generalized syllabus. In addition to the journal books issued by the schools as per the syllabus, she encourages her students to read multicultural books, which is the best way to promote literacy by knowing the culture and language of people all around the world. She also encourages her students to improve their creative writing by making them work on comprehensions, creative writings, and various other activities. This initiative is based on the thought that a child who reads will be an adult who thinks. So many things are also there again with all the leaders like you, Tarna ma'am, Kajal ma'am, Lakshmi ma'am, and sir, that every one of you to have so wonderful experience. You are connected with so many associations, and when we see each other on WhatsApp also, now we come to know that 3 to 4 groups we are associated. It may be private school association, or it may be any type of association, spa or whatever it is. Many things we are associated with, because the thing is, you are the leaders who come forward. This is good about us as a leader. There are principals, there are directors, but all of them, they are not working out of their box. So we are working, or your people are working out of the box. That day I was having a session with Mr. S.K. Rathore, who is the founder of Sanford Group of Schools, and Anirudh Gupta sir also. He is the founder or CEO of this DCM Group of Schools in Punjab and Haryana. So he said that it is a very good initiative taken by you, that you have started up this sessions, that likely principals say that that we have plenty of work to do. But when I see the people like educators like you, that you are working out of your box, so many good things you are doing. You are moving everywhere. You are moving to the slums also. You are moving up to the girls, helping them. I've been seeing you are moving up to all the social works and educational work you are doing. Why can't we do this? So we get inspired from each other. So Tarna ma'am, I had been seeing that your all the sessions in your media or with the foreign collaborated students only. I think you don't like Indian students, or you are most of collaborated with them. There's a confusion in my mind. And once it came into my mind that we have left India and we have gone over there, settled over there. वो बातों में खिसक के वहां पहुंच गए. It is just like that. So many sessions I have seen that so many countries, your students are, as you told me earlier also, that it is in somewhere in the countryside where you have to do a lot of struggle with the parents and students also. Still, hats off to you. You're making these students able to collaborate with the students of these so many countries abroad. Learning is becoming so wide for them under your leadership. Please let us know something about this.
Namaste from India, So I am an Indian. I will be throughout Indian. My students are also Indian, and we are, actually very, very, fixed to our roots. So that is not going to change, first of all. But yes, when we collaborate globally, so we get a lot of exposure. We get a lot of knowledge from the other countries, all the students, different kinds of cultures, languages. And the children basically become street smart when they speak to their fellow global friends. And believe you me, sir, within 2 years span, I have seen a drastic, tremendous change in my students. Today I am speaking over here. My students have already started taking the webinars on an international platform. So that is a big achievement. And I feel the more the child researches, the more the child gets that platform, he come out of his hitches and his shell, he explores and he delivers better. So that is how it is, and that is why I am working with my children on these global platforms. And it is not that we are not celebrating any festivals. We do celebrate all the festivals, all the little things in our school, whether they are online or offline. Like tomorrow we are going to have a Janmashtami assembly. So and that too we'll have it with a global educator, with one of my global friends. So we are actually passing on our traditions and learning their traditions and exchanging and doing it practically. Okay. Plus today we had a class with the Philippines where my children joined it to learn Filipino language. So yeah, so that's a different thing altogether, and the children learn when they collaborate, and then they become more creative when they see other children working, and they get different kinds of exposures and ideas to implement in the class. They also collaborated today with Indonesia, Taiwan, then many other countries today on water, that how to save water, how to work on different aspects of water. So it's a big achievement for Ramagya School Dadri, which actually is a countryside school in a rural area. But yes, the exposure, the kind of exposure they are getting, it's like great.
That's great, ma'am. That's great, ma'am. It is just because of
my children.
Yeah.
I live for them. I see and I live for them, and I'll keep living for them. And when they grow, it is the biggest achievement in my life that yes, they have done what I wanted them to do. Thank you.
That's great, ma'am. That's great of you that you are doing so good work in the education field. And almost all of you are doing on your part. Like Lakshmi ma'am, she is collaborating with countries like Sweden, and she is working with them from last 25 years. And you are also collaborating with so many schools in abroad also, and other leaders they are collaborating with throughout in internally also. We are working with the social services. So as an educationist, all of you are doing so good and hard work. We are unpaid warriors, we are unrecognized warriors, but still, as an educationist, we should also get a recognition that we are doing so many things, and especially during this hard time of COVID. Welcome, ma'am, Taruna ma'am. Next, we have Krishnakant Pandey, sir. He is co-founder and head of growth and partnership. He has more than 22 years of experience, through which he has helped many companies to succeed and reach their potential. He was the second employee of Pearson Education K-12 team and headed the same in East, North, and West India. Sir is first communication skills and unrevealed. This makes him one of the most effective leader any company could ask for. He wants to make easy schooling the most trusty partner of parents, students, and schools for the right schooling. He believes that honesty is the key to success, be it in business, professionals, or personal life. What a little about I know about the easy schooling or sir is that there are certain, because according to the technology, the things are changing. What is all going on in the industry where people are, have brought us e-learning. We try to find out people like them. And here we found, sir, that they have an easy schooling where I think sir will tell us about what is easy schooling. Krishna, sir, over to you.
Okay, thank you. So Easy Schooling is a platform where the parents come and we counsel them and they can choose the correct school for his child, right? So we do a lot of sessions for the parents. We hook them through a lot of parenting sessions. We do the, for the how to raise the kids' mental stress, everything. We do one-to-one session. Every week do the webinars for the parents, how to choose the correct school for them, for your kids. See, generally in our society, what we have seen that when we choose the school, it's based on what other people are doing. Sharma ji ka bachcha wahan padh raha hai, to hamare bachche ka bhi admission wahin hona chahiye. But we need to think that every child is unique and you have to choose the correct school for your child, which is suitable for your child. And we are working towards that through analytics, through tech-friendly data. We are giving data to the schools, how to contact.
Yes, sir. This is what we are here to talk about. This is what you talk about, and in the session also we'll ask you about what is exactly it is and how do you help us also and the parents also, because basically between now the things have changed. What I have come to know in precise about the easy schooling or the platform is that you are the mediator between or you help the parents as well as the schools also. We'll come back to you, sir. Welcome to you, and hope to have a great session with you. Let's start up with a discussion session, and I cannot dare to say as questions, but Lakshmi ma'am, first of all, I'd like to ask a question from you, that according to you, what is the meaning or a definition of a successful school? Because we cannot say it as a good school. All the schools are good. But if we talk about all the stakeholders or about your views about what is the meaning of a successful school in precise. Over to you, ma'am.
That's a wonderful question, Sarabjit. First of all, I want to make a very important disclaimer that we will not put them on a comparative yardstick, because education has kind of thrived on the rankings and the scores scales, and so first of all, a successful school is not some kind of a comparative parameter, because the context is so diverse in India that this whole one shoe fits all, one definition of a successful school should not fit all, because the population that we serve is very diverse. The social, psychological, cultural, economic background of the students that we serve is diverse. So I want to make that very, very clear that this is not one framework or one shoe that we can fit it and see whether this is a successful school. But even then, there are few parameters, a few characteristics that can be used for evaluating a successful school, irrespective of the geographical location, historical reputation that the school has, and the clientele or the students population that they serve, and the medium of instruction that they make a choice, the curriculum choice that they make. There could be some very, very important characteristics that we can look at and use that as an evaluative process. So I want to touch upon 6 very significant parameters, so to say. And I will take it very quickly because I know that we have eminent speakers and I'm sure there is going to be an overlap of things. But the first and the foremost important indicator of a successful school is if the school has aligned itself to the vision and mission statement. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, that if you have established a mission and a vision statement, whether your program, your curriculum, your choices, your relationships, everything must align and amplify the vision and mission, and it must kind of complement and help you achieve the vision and mission of the school. So that is the first thing, is the real alignment test of what is on your walls or what is on your brochures as a vision and mission. That's the first one. The second important indicator of a successful school is that whether both teachers and students have become the agencies, whether they have the autonomy and the possibility and freedom to function in their context. I know that there is no absolute freedom, there is no total freedom. We all have our frameworks of regulations, monitoring, restrictions, but whether the teacher can have an autonomy and freedom to transact the framework of curriculum in a way that she brings out the creativity, and that whether the student has the creative autonomy to express, articulate, engage in the classroom without having the traditional framework of what we call the very good student and a silent student. Very, very important for me. A second parameter for successful school is the student agency. And how do we know whether they have a student agency? Is you can literally feel it in the students' happiness index. The children look forward to coming to school. They are very happy people, that they can articulate very well, and that they can be curious, and that they really are joyful as learners. How do you know whether teachers have the autonomy and freedom and creativity? One of the indicators is retention, and whether the teachers have had a professional development curve, and whether teachers have been at the center of curriculum mapping, and whether they have been really recognized and awarded and celebrated teachers. There are many, many indicators for it. I'm just kind of highlighting few. The third one for me is very, very important, is what I call the glocalization of the curriculum. Our children often ironically will know where is Eiffel Towers, or how does it look like, and or that they have even been on vacations and they have a lot of information. And I often state this, that our children don't know where is Tulsi Bagh in Pune. And I'm not saying either or. The children need to know where is Eiffel Towers, but at the same time, where is the Tulsi Bagh? They need to know the global context, but they also need to know the local, regional, rural context. They need to know to connect with the West, but they also need to know how to connect with our local population, our tribal communities, because tomorrow when they become a CEO, their interactions are going to be extremely diverse, that may include the rural, tribal economy, people who have a local vernacular languages. This globalization helps build this diverse respect for population that are completely varied. And that is, for me, a third indicator of what kind of engagement that the school has decided to have with this kind of a local perspective. The fourth important one for me is, the interdisciplinarity of the pedagogic discourses, that whether they have, we have the subjects and we have the students as subjects. Our teachers have become extremely blinded on their specialization, that, we have almost forgotten that the real world doesn't look like this. There is interconnectedness, whether we like it or not. The cause and effect and the interconnectedness is a reality. How akin are we, as in our curriculum and pedagogic transactions, we are, is showcased in the interdisciplinarity and the multidisciplinary approaches to the curriculum. And how do we know? Just look at the way they transact. Of course, CBSE, for example, last year was obsessed with, integrating art with all the subjects. And for some reason, they've just dropped it off because probably they've found a new fad or something. But why not? Why would art be not integrated with any of the other subjects? Why can't we have the social science with language, or math with, entrepreneurship? So I think it's about the interdisciplinarity or the holistic approach of the ecosystem. The next one for me, the fifth one, is about building the culture of innovation and social entrepreneurship. And I emphasize the social because education in India needs to build citizens who will be the social change makers. We are 75 years old, and we still have the huge divide of the have and have not, and the gap is only increasing. And right now, the COVID has shown how divided we are, whether it is about access, equity. We are far from it. And it doesn't seem like an easy roadmap. Our students have to become committed social entrepreneurs, because that is genuinely the goal of education, is that the children bring back something to the society that is supported and sometimes even sponsored the education. So there has to be a built-in element of community engagement, learning to interact with people who have a different social background, and not necessarily a very misplaced sense of altruism, but a genuine sense of give and take. The last but not the least, I have a long list, but I would restrict it to the last one, that a successful school will genuinely have a sense of diversity and inclusion. And when I say inclusion, it is not about the tokenistic inclusion. Do we have children with diverse disabilities? Do we have children from diverse communities? Unfortunately, no. We are an extremely segregated, ghettoized schools. Just to look at our fees, and that really cuts off many, many populations out of our school system. And then, of course, we had the RTE, and there again, many, many schools pulled out saying that we are a schools of minority. So we are an extremely segregated. Look at your religious profiles in the school. There is dominantly one religion, and we have some more which are very much similar to, which are on the same kind of a spectrum. Look at the caste, data, and you would see by and large, unless it is really an enforcement, that we don't have a diverse background. We have a linguistic background, highly diverse India, but unfortunately in our English medium schools, that diversity is not taken to the advantage, or that we haven't leveraged that diversity. Thankfully, NEP is talking about it, but we know that we will not really overnight become a Sanskrit school or a Marathi school. So a successful school will really accommodate and thrive on the diversity, not again on a tokenistic level, but at an attitude and a value-based level. And our inclusion would genuinely be about having children with different disabilities but also children with different ability groupings. So I rest my case here, and I see that these are significant, indicators of a school being
I second with your
successful.
thought, ma'am, because the thing is, there are so many things, there are so many parameters of a successful school. But the you have brought up now the gist of that, the basic 6 points, where these are the basic things. And
Thank you.
probably
Thank
this is
you.
a bitter truth that diversity is not, is not there. Diversified it is, but it all depends upon the caste, religion, and everything. People still
Yeah,
depend
I
on that.
think, this is something that India is extremely diverse, but our school
If this
systems are
mentality is
extremely
changed, yeah.
homogeneous. Our
Yes,
school
if this
systems are
mentality
very
changes,
homogeneous.
yes, ma'am, if this mentality changes, so we can do anything in the world. That's true, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Deepika, ma'am, will you like to add something into this, please?
So I think she said, which I totally agree with, but I think a successful school will be based on, I think, the three, at least these three values. The value of hope, that we would be successful, inclusive, and diversify whatever challenges we meet. Harmony, that a successful school would have everything, I think, where there's collaboration, where there is acceptance of gaps and overcoming them, enhancing of skills, and happiness. Happiness, I think, is base to all, but then I think which promotes happiness with responsibility. I think what can make these along with these values into a very effective and successful school would be quality leadership. If the leaders, whether that's the principal or that's the management, have the required mission and vision properly laid out. There again, I go back to collaboration. If there's collaboration and they have a collaboration with teachers, there's provision of resources, the required resources to make teaching, learning more effective. I think that's important. Then I second to Lakshmi ma'am when she says, are the mission and vision laid out? Yes, the goals and the directions need to be properly laid out. And more important is these goals have to be communicated to all stakeholders, whether that's these teachers, that's the students or the parents or anywhere in the community. What is happening is you might set a goal, but if they're not communicated, they get lost in between. You are not able to execute them the way you should.
Right.
I think then very high expectations, I find that helps. The students perform better. The staff knows that they need to meet those goals, and the leadership provides the ways and means to do that. There is professional development, which would help them to do it. So those gaps can be overcome. Another thing that I really find is ongoing evaluations in the school. At the learners level, if there is proper assessments continuously happening, and a data bank or assessments are properly put into data, the data is again evaluated. We find out where again the learning gaps are, where as far as the students are concerned, and try and work out a different way or a pedagogy to overcome this. As far as again now academics, the teachers are concerned, well, if we assess and evaluate the teachers as well, we can help them to overcome by providing the right kind of training and from at regular intervals, and help them to overcome and possibly upgrade themselves from time to time. Now all with this COVID reset, I think at least in the urban areas, all the schools have gone digital. It wouldn't have happened in next decade, but it's happened now. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. The only positivity about this COVID is that the technology has come into being, online things have come into, and moreover, after post-COVID, after post-COVID, it will be a mixed blend in any level of the schools, even the government schools.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. And now we have new form of assessment. Class 10th and class 12th exams were such high-stake exams because at least the 12th class, because the admissions depended on them, like Mr. Pandey was saying. But what happens now when you have proper assessments and you know, the form, it's not about really how much you score. You know, you need to be assessed on all the different parameters.
Parameters.
And I think all universities also need to now work on how and what kind of student intake they would want. Are they looking for skills? Whatever. So this, again, in the COVID reset, this is a plus that we have.
Yes, ma'am.
We
Yes,
didn't
ma'am.
have proper 12th exams, but now, see, now the assessment pattern has changed, which I really, it's a welcome step.
Yes,
Then
ma'am.
I feel an infrastructure in a good school or a successful school would be, again, I would correct myself, effective school would be secured and organized. Secured both physically and otherwise, both for learner and the teacher. And organized in the sense the IT needs to be in place. It needs to be student centric. The environment needs to promote learning, you know. And then I think the staff needs to be trained. There is a need for counselors at all times, you know. So to counsel, like, you know, the mental well-being is a big question with the students staying at home all the time. So I think if the schools are based on these values and these attributes, there's going to be an exponential growth.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
would embrace the change more smoothly, and they can retain the talent that they have.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much,
So
ma'am.
this is what, yeah,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is
Thank
what
you
I
so much,
feel
ma'am.
should be.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am,
Thank you.
about your views about successful school. Uh, Rajiv sir, now like to ask you that
Sure,
what,
sir.
according to you, how does a parent build up a reputation or the status of a school? Do they go look upon the crowd or the board result or anything else? Because we have to see that what are the feelings of the parent. There's a 50 years or 100-year-old school over there, and we are up there from last 20 years. So what does a parent look? Yeah, this is an old school and a very reputed school, or इनका इस school का result बहुत अच्छा आता है. Or what are the reasons you feel is the reason that parents look upon when they go for the admission of their child?
Well, sir, a successful school is having so many definitions. And my personal feeling is that success speaks about himself. It doesn't need any medium or any mouth publicity for that, because successful remains in the air. So of course, when we see when the result is out of the board classes, and we saw so many, advertisements of the different schools highlighting their result in terms of percentage, pass percentage, highest toppers, and so on. So of course there are so many factors that affects the parents' mindset for looking at the school, for grading the school in terms of academics, in terms of sports, in terms of facilities, infrastructures. So many things are there. But a successful school, according to me, should be a joyful school, as the CBSE had launched this drive of joyful schools last year, though it was not properly happened because of certain reasons. And sir, in my school, I have introduced experiential learning this year. We have taken this a major drive on this mega event. We have introduced all the subjects, including the main subjects of senior secondary. We are integrated with the performing arts and different experiential learning, hands-on experience in the classes. And of course, parents sometimes they are being affected by the and by the neighbors, by some advertisements, by some mouth publicity by the existing parents. And of course, many things are there. So many digital things are there on the platform. So there is not a definite thing that can be affected the parents to look after their school, which is a successful school. But of course, there are so many factors that makes a school
Yes, sir.
successful, like the performance of the students in terms of academics, in terms of sports, in terms of their total outlook, and of course the faculty, the teachers, those are there in the campus, they are taking
Yes.
care of students. Continuous workshops, their continuous learning and upgradation
sir.
of the school.
It is also
Uh,
there, sir, when the parents look after all these things, that where are the localized students, where are they going, and they're asking their neighbors also where your child goes, or look at the result also. Sometimes they take a good decision, and sometimes they take the wrong decision also. It
yeah,
is just like
but
when they get their child admitted to the school, then only they are able to understand which is the right school and which is the wrong school.
many parents, almost I mean in my area, many of the parents, they are looking for the schools, those are future ready schools. They come when they come for the admission, they deliberately ask me that are you providing the coding classes, are you providing the
That's good.
artificial intelligence classes in your school, have you introduced these subjects in your school, which new subjects you have introduced. For humanities, they ask whether you are having legal studies from class 11th. So there are so many questions of the parents, they are much vigilant than ever. And now the parents really look after the schools, those are future ready schools, those have been taking care of their kids globally. Challenges, they can take the global challenges as well. So of course a school is not merely just teaching and learning process. Now it's become a very diversified platform for the students,
Yes, sir.
and they can improve in all the areas, whereas the area of their expertise or area of their liking.
We as an administrator, that what I feel from your side, what you said is, or conclude is that we try to come up to the expectations of the parents, but all the parents, they are not of the same type. They have different expectations, but with the common expectations, we try to move to that. Thank you so much, sir, for your insightness. Then I'll
Thank you.
come to Kajal ma'am. Please, you heard the question that how do the parents build up the reputation or status of a school according to you? Please.
Yeah. Well, it's a very parent centric question. So for a while, I'll forget I'm an educator. And by the way, everybody in the Zoom room, I assume we all are parents and we all have kids. So I will give you my own personal example, and it seems like it was yesterday, almost 19 years ago, almost, when I had to decide school for my child. Trust me, it was a big dilemma for an ambitious parent, an ultimate goal, what we vision for our children, that my child must communicate in English. My child must reach at certain level where my child can, go to national or international level in terms of sports, in terms of academics, and in terms of overall development of a child. I'm a mother of two. I have two boys, and I am coming from Pune. It's termed as the Oxford East. In the Oxford, we name it Pune as the hub of education. So we relocated only because of our children. We changed. I am coming from a very small town. I'm coming from Kalyan, Mumbai. So this was certain expectations which we had from a school, and today I'm going to touch upon A, B, C, D, E of a school when a parent has to select a school. So coming to the question, what is the heart of the school? If you can guess. So whosoever will be watching, the heart of the school is the curriculum of the school. Of course, we look at that. First thing first comes academics, right? Curriculum. And what is the heart of the curriculum is the child. So school has to be child centric. So now coming to A, B, C, D, E of a school, A stands for academic performance. We always look at 5 years, 10 years, 50 years performance, like how are children performing in that particular school. And then B comes, it stands for character building. And as I believe Taruna madam and Lakshmi madam, they spoke about vision and a mission. So when a school has its mission and a vision, it speaks loud on the character building, how disciplinary approach, interdisciplinary and collaborative approach, how the school develops in children. C stands for culture, how my child will be after 10 years, after 10th, after 12th, how he will be. He'll be courteous, happy, disciplined. Will he be able to take his own decision? Will he be able to have all the 21st century learning skills? And then D stands for dedicated teachers. Teachers, by the way, like school is known by its teachers. How well qualified, how well groomed are. And lastly, of course, very important, but I am touching upon, as we have so many leaders in the Zoom room, how enthusiastic, how curious, innovative, multitasking leader. So it starts from leader. If the leader has got that dynamic energy, that energy is going to transform. So I, as a parent, I look at not teaching, but the transformation. Whether my child will be able to transform to a global citizen, forget global citizen. Whether my child will be able to communicate in global language. So again, a disclaimer, because this question is very dynamic. It can vary from parent to parent, but I have spoken on a very generic terms, as an Indian parent, what Indian parent looks at. So with this, I think I've
Great. That's
taken
great,
enough
ma'am.
time.
And you
And
had been
due
you
respect,
had thank you so much, ma'am. And you
yes,
had been very sincere towards this. You were very truly. You said that what was in your mind 19 years before that you had to decide about your child. Same comes into everybody's mind. My daughter also had to take admission 20 years back in a school, and of course she's doing the last year graduation, and she's doing very good, very well. Again, the same parameters were there at time, but from time to time the parameters do keep on changing because of the innovations and
change.
everything, right, ma'am? Thank you so much, Kajal ma'am. Next,
I
we are
just want
coming.
to add, dear sir,
Yes, ma'am.
Saramjeet sir, I just wanted to add one more point over here, that yes, it's a very crucial decision, and where in a city like Pune, where you have plethora of brilliant schools, so I chose Bishop School, and it has got 150 years of legacy, and be proud of that decision. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, Tarna ma'am. Over to you. And it's a very such a good topic talking about this. These are days time to speak about that, and but because we are in shortage of time, we have to cut short the answers also along with the questions. Tarna ma'am, over to you. How does the reputation of a school builds in the society? In very short, in very precise, how
Uh,
can you tell?
yeah, I will just say that school education is actually the key to developing character, building social and life skills, right? And secondly, the parent wants a stable school. A stable school means where the staff, like ma'am said, the teachers should be qualified and all. I feel they should be passionate and they should be stable. The staff should not be shuffled again and again, because the bonding child has with the teacher, uh, rightly said that the teachers are the building blocks of the school, right? So they are the foundations of the school, and if the teachers are stable, the child is going to do well in future. Plus, the safety of the child is very important concern for the parent. The quality of education, the quality of co-curricular activities, how we are grooming the child, is the child getting that platform or not, right? The numbers in the class, right? If they are 55 and maybe the child is not getting the attention, that is a big concern these days, because I think the parents, we are to nuclear families, just one or two kids, so they are very particular about where they are sending, how the child would be dealt. And also I would also put light on that, because most of my co-panelists have already shared many points. But yes, how the transport is, how long is it going to take the transport to how long the child would commute in the bus or something like that. So they are concerned with that also. Plus, what kind of values the child is taking back from home, what kind of peer group is there in the school, and plus what is the result of the school, that is again a concern. Plus, one more thing, financial, what is the fee structure of the school,
Very important. Very
right?
important.
So according to
But
me,
ma'am,
very
yeah,
important.
very important. Fee
Yeah.
structure is also there, ma'am. And the most important thing is the stability of the teachers. It's a very,
Yes, that is the
it's a
most
very,
important.
it's a very most important. I mean, many of the people maybe or may not be looking into this. But important point I feel from my experiences, everybody will second with my thought. Okay, how the teachers are stable, they don't move. There are many schools in every city where the teachers, when they enter into the school, they leave after their retirement only. So that also
Yes.
management, you see, we are principals or we are directors or principals. Again, when it comes to the management, it is all upon the management also, that how do they decide, how do they keep their employees or they keep their teachers. That is also very important. Thank you so much, Sarna ma'am. Coming to Krishna Pandey,
Thank
sir.
you.
Now we have heard from the very first round, sir, that like ma'am also said that we have school of 150 years old legacy, we have this and that. There are also other schools who are very good schools. I'm not talking about any particular city. There are missionary schools. Of course, missionary schools are the oldest schools everywhere, almost in every city. They have so good reputation over there. They are doing very good or not doing very good. They have very good reputation. And at the very same time, there's a 10 or 15 years or 20 years old school, who is doing much better than that. So sometimes it happens when the good thing is over there, not always. When a good thing is over there, the schools are not able to tell about themselves to the the parents. It happens like e-schooling or what you say, that easy schooling you have. Like we say that when we have to buy a refrigerator or LED, we go to a shop, within half an hour or 1 hour, we can't decide all the features. What we do is, now children have become very smart. They compare it there, all the features on the on the internet, and then they decide, and they don't move out to the market also. They just click over there and they order it. So here, what is basically, please tell us about easy schooling. How do we help the schools? It is not about the admission only. It is all about that how a school, if is taking your help, how do they develop themselves, sir?
Okay, great. Like rightly said by the ma'am and you also, that while selecting our child admissions, we go for the legacy and the brands, I can say. And we say कि फला का बच्चा वहां जा रहा, तो हमारा भी बच्चा वहां पे जाना चाहिए. This is the way we used to select the schools. But now things are changing because this is the age of information. Now parents are more mature. They have all the information at their fingertips, right? So children understand that each child is unique. And so for each child, they have to select the school, keeping in mind their child requirement and their own expectation from the schools. So this is where we fill up the bridge between the parents and schools. What we have the parents to choose the right school, not the best school or the better school. We guide them how to choose the right school. And how we do that? We do the personal counseling of the parents. For that, we do the personal counseling, and every week we do the webinar on how to choose the correct school. So this is where we guide the parents. And as far the school is concerned, one school is associated with us. Our account manager brainstorm with the school admission counselors and their top management. And then for particular school, keeping in mind their strength and USPs, we create the strategy how to promote that school through our social media campaign, covering their facilities, infrastructure, quality of education, pedagogy, and many other factors. And apart from this, we also write article highlighting the school USP and promote them not only with our own registered parents, but also the various social media handles like Google, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, etc. And all these activities help in building school reputation and branding. And the oldest in this segment, because this is something new for the schools to get somebody who help in the admission process. But we are working in the same fields in the last 4 years, and we have some pretty good name, who are banking on us in the last 3-4 years, like Delhi Public Schools, James Schools, Goenkas, and all these are happy with us. And we are helping making their brand reputation among the parents.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. And it's a very good things. New things are coming into being. Things have become online, e-learning, and all has happened. So there are many changes which we are keep on changing. We have to keep on changing ourselves. What I felt when I had a word with you and Mayankji also, that what is all about easy schooling. It's not that we are put, if a school is associated, it is not like, okay, we are trying to get admissions. We are trying to show, we are trying to advertise us. You are advertising actually the schools, that the parents who are not knowing about you, should know that what actually you people are doing and how they can get more advantage or marketing, or how can they build up their reputation. The mindset of the parent can be changed. Thank you
Yes.
so much, sir. Krishna, sir.
I want to add one thing. Suppose you
Yes,
take
sir.
the now Amazon and Flipkart. We have the legacy brand, Nike, the best brand, but they have to come to on that platform because the audience is there. In the same way, we have the highest audience in our platform. So school, even I know the school like Nehru Ward School, that is, they don't require admission, but they want to facilitate the parents. That's why they are on our platform. So no, this is how the things are evolving in this education space.
Right, sir. Right. That's great, sir. That's great. Thank you so much, sir. I'll come to Lakshmi ma'am again because it's a very long topic we have to talk about. But this round we'll be talking within two minutes each person will get, ma'am. I'm so sorry. Is it necessary that the parent should seek admission for their child in a school with old history, or should they go for an upgraded school of 21st century? What are your views about that, Lakshmi ma'am, in 2 minutes?
I wouldn't go in again for a either or. The catchword you have done is upgraded with the 21st century learning environment. Of course, that should be the obvious choice. But a historical school with a huge history can also come up to that. So, yeah, I think evaluate what is it really genuinely 21st century skill, learning, or is it more like, the catchword, the marketing zig, yeah.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Absolutely right. Are a very perfect answer. Within a minute, you have given a very, very perfect answer. That is all. So this is the best thing about the good educators. That if you want, we were talking that there's a big story in a book, how it has to be converted into 100 words and how can it be converted into a one line. So that is the, the best quality of the best educator. Thank you so much, Lakshmi ma'am.
Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am. Deepika ma'am, I'll also like to ask you the same, that it's not like we are talking about old history school. Old history means they have only old history. We don't criticize any school, but we say there are many schools in cities. I do feel in my city also there are some missionary schools who are from 150 years, but they're not upgraded, sort of like the new schools that are now the 21st century schools are. So there are certain parameters where the parents go for this also and that also, and they are confused also. So please let us know that what are your views about this?
So again, this is a very personal choice depending on a lot of factors that all of us have already spoken. And schools would always stay aspirational, okay? And the others would be what suits you the best. But I think one should choose a school which is ideal for, or what suits them, and which embraces early change, which makes the child, I think, enterprising, more confident and courageous. So other things are only technicalities. Thank you.
That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Then I'll come to Rajiv, sir. It is all about right till now we were talking about that what are the expectations of the parents and the society, but we also have certain expectations. So I'd like to ask you, sir, what are your expectations as a school administrator from the parents? Sir, you're muted.
When parent came to school for the admission purpose, they came with a lot of homework done by them through the school website, through so many social medias, and they come with a lot of questions, and they want the immediate answers to them. So, of course, our expectations from the parents is that though every school wants there should be a vertical growth in terms of the quality of the education, in terms of the number of students, in terms of the reputation of the school. But of course, it's a teamwork of the parents, teachers, students. Every individual is having important role in the growth of the school. So as a parent, they should understand efforts put by the school and by the teachers. And of course, if they are having some positive suggestions, they can come with the positive suggestions, but through a proper channel or on a proper medium. But sometimes what happened, the parents, they are so they don't wait for a second, and they build up their own conceptions about the school, though every time they are not right. But for me, they should be stand with the policies or the curriculum adopted by the school, and the parents should have confidence in the team, whether it's a teacher or it's a supporting staff, the principal, the management. And if they're having any sort of problem or concern regarding their child, regarding their education, regarding anything, they should discuss on a proper platform, on a proper time. Sometimes what happens, they do their they complain about certain things after so many long time, that the sanctity or the things, though that can be rectified, or that can be put on the right track on the same way, but due to the length of the period that goes in a very bad shape. So my point is that parents should always they cannot be always right, but of course, if they are having good suggestions or they are having some innovative ideas, they can share these ideas in the PTM with the teachers or with the principal.
Yes, sir. Very right,
and,
sir.
And for me, for principal like me, my doors are always open from 9 to 2 p.m. for the parents. I have not put any barriers to the parents. They can come directly to me and they can discuss whatever their concerns. And I hope and I feel that every principal is doing the same thing, because ultimately our concern is that our parents, the stakeholders, they should be satisfied with our services, with our education. Ultimately, they are the partners which affects the quality of the school and the growth of the school.
So this happens with every school, and the parents, they come up with a bunch of complaints. They don't communicate with their parents, with their teachers or the school, and with the senior students especially. They do not know. Oh, throughout the year there was no parents meeting, so we have to say them, are you a fool? You know your child is studying from PG play group. In a year at least 4 to 5 the PTMs are over there. You never come to school. If even you are not knowing about the PTM, you should have come any time after the school, and you should have the word that when we come. So they are, they have over pampered their children. A parent is coming up that my child has been scolded by the teacher in the online classes. How has she done this? So this over pampering of the children, that is a very big problem. That is why, and at the very same time, they say my child has become very indisciplined. We disciplined. We were being beaten in the school, and we used to not come at our home and tell the parents also, because we'll have another round over there. They will also beat us. So this thing was there, definitely, and this definitely the over pampering of the parents, especially the mother, when the father is going back, the mother is saying, "Aaj aap isko jabarasti maar diya." A child must have done something, or the child has been scolded. The child must be doing something. It is for his better. Even with the senior parents also, or the middle school parents also, we say that your child is here with us for few years only, maybe or a year, 2 or 4 years, but the child has to be with you for the whole life. We want to reform him. We want to make him a good citizen along with the teaching also. So let us do it. If we don't want to let us do it, then let it go. So they understand that, but it's a very big problem. That is there, sir. Insightness.
Definitely, absolutely
Thank-
right.
Thank you so much, sir. Kajal ma'am, again, I'll also like to ask you, what are your expectations as an administrator from the parents?
This question is very school centric. Earlier it was parent centric. So coming towards the end, there is disadvantage, but there are a lot of advantages also. Now we can pinpoint what we have not yet covered. Yes, we as administrators, we always look forward that whenever school comes up with an innovative idea, any endeavor, whichever school has taken up, it should be supported by parents. Of course, suggestions are always welcome, but as sir said, that it has to come with a lot of respect. They should respect our teachers. They should respect all the stakeholders at different levels. Even when we come to a school, I always say P2P, that is peon, like principal to peon. Everybody is important. Like if the day our peons are not there, who will do that job? So our parents need to understand that each and everyone involved in school day-to-day handling is important. That's utmost important point from school point of view, and what we are expecting from our parents. And of course, now as we are into online, and there's a huge baggage on parents. With due respect and grand salute to each and every parent who is become a teacher. Every drawing room is become a classroom. Every home has got a, you can say, complete school which is running, and morning 10 to 2 they are listening to the teachers. So it is difficult for parents, it is difficult for teachers when teachers have got 30 students and 30 judges. Can you imagine? मैडम आपने ये ऐसे पढ़ाना था, मैम ये ना ऐसे आपने पढ़ाया ना, मेरे बच्चे को समझ में नहीं आया. So can you imagine the dilemma of that teacher who is trying her level best to put forward to make her child happy? So appreciation is something we need to express gratitude and develop the attitude of gratitude. Of course, it is a two-way process. It can't be one-way process. So it will start from school. When we express our gratitude for our parents, automatically it will shower on
Absolutely
us.
right. Absolutely right, ma'am. And this is what we say to everybody says to the parent, that nobody is 100%. And because you are complaining, you have one kid or two kids at your home and you're not able to handle, and the teacher has to handle 30 plus. So it should be hats off to her, it should not be a complaint. So you should not come as a complainter. You should not come up with the complaints. In fact, you should come up with the suggestions. If the suggestions are reasonable, then we will, of course, you try to change whatever you are needing. It is for sure. When the parents, we are getting the feedback, then only we are making the changes. That is for sure. Thank you, Kajal ma'am. That was a very insightness about the topic. Thank you so much. We'll come up to Tarana ma'am. Ma'am, again, we say that society or the government or everyone has too much expectations from us. But what does the school or the management has the expectations from the society or an admin has?
From the society, you are asking, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The management's expectations from the society, right? They just expect that as leaders, if we are investing or we are creating future leaders, so the parents should have a kind of trust on the management and on the stakeholders, and they should all work hand in hand like a family, so that and we should be open. It should be open forum discussion where if there are some negative points, I'm not saying that we are perfect or they are perfect. There can be points where we need to improve ourselves, and there can be places where they need to improve on them. So we should be open to open discussions and suggestions, and when we mutually and together work, we can create a better environment for the children who are the future leaders of our countries. So that is how I feel that we should be open, and a cordial or a healthy discussion can always lead to the betterment of children and the society.
That's great, ma'am. That's great. Uh, we'll come up to Krishna Pandey sir now. Krishna sir, you have come to know what, because we have these type of episodes like Aapki Adalat. We call up someone in the in that Katagara, what you say in Hindi, and we ask them that you people are there in the industry and you are doing this thing or that thing. We don't know much about. We are very confused. What is good, what is right, and what is fake. So please tell us in precise that actually how so many problems, so many challenges all the leaders have to face. You can understand, because society needs everything from the from the administrator only. They don't want to cooperate even. Or how can we tell them, how can we show them that we are very good and we are the best? Please tell us, according to your easy schooling.
Yeah. So basically, if we summarize the EG schooling, so EG schooling is a admission partner for the parents as well as the schools, right? And once we list any school to our portal, we screen that particular school and help them for entire admission process, from educating parents to accepting admission forms online and selection process. I mean, taking admission is the school prerogative, but all the tech work is done by us. As I told earlier, that our managers brainstorm with the school leadership, and then we create the strategy, keeping best mind of the school's success story. We also create a school mini website at our portal, and which deal with all the USPs of the school, which help the parents to evaluate it better. We give mini website dashboard to the schools, so anytime they can upload their latest information which is required for parents to take the decision. They can also check all form received, detail of the parents, name, email ID, mobile, their school profile timing, and also the school current school. Suppose somebody is applying from particular schools, they will know from which school this child is applying. So all the data is with them. And especially for the Delhi schools, because Delhi school nursery admission is administered by the government of Delhi. So we give the data in the format which is required by government of Delhi, and school can easily upload those information to the government websites. And
so what I feel from you, sir, I'll just interrupt between. So sorry. But the main thing is that the trend have changed. What I feel when I had a word with you and your company also, their trend has changed. Like a few days back, a principal called me up. She was from Varanasi, I think so, and they wanted that someone, they are a transferable job. They wanted admission in somewhere in Noida, school, a good school in Noida. They wanted to know a good school in Noida. So when these types of things are there, like you have, I think, Krishna sir, that easy schooling and all, there the schools can, I mean, you take up a small website from the schools, what they want to showcase, that what additional cheat, what good things, what features they have. Of course, whatever we are showing, that ma'am also in between said that whatever you are showing should be there. It's not be people, right? There are very small schools and very unorganized schools some are, but they showcase in their website and everything that they are very good. They provide world-class facilities. So whatever we have, we should show that, and there they are able to telecast that what good features you have. Now here technology has changed. Like reservations, people used to go stand in a queue for the railway reservation, and they used to get it done themselves. After that, agents came in between, and now from your mobile click only you can do it. So it's a e-business or e-commerce that now it has created, that the parents now they don't want to move at places. They want to know how many schools are there in particular area, and they want to judge. They don't want to go into the, parents have become smart on the words only. Okay, these are the neighbors. They say this is good school. Somebody saying this is good school. I am getting confused that where should I admit my child? Instead of getting confused, what should I go is that I should go into the website or this thing, and I should find out how many good schools are there and what are the features. They compare and let them judge themselves which is the best. Now here the school tries to show that how I am the best. This is the best innovation of the school also on a small website, that how they can show that you are the best. So there, the school, it's not about what I think, sir, Krishna sir, that it is not only like a school if wants an admission should, uplist or collaborate with you. It should be that we want to show we are there. There are many schools I saw in your list that those who are associated, they don't want admission, but they want that we are there, we should market it.
Yes.
So so huge amount the schools they spend on the marketing and all. Instead, if we come on this e-advertisement, it is a sort of e-advertisement where it is happening inside your easy schooling, where the schools are able to showcase that how they are good and how they are proving that they are good, and they are making the child, the parent understand that how to make the right decision. Yes, Krishna sir, please, if you can conclude the session by telling something more.
Yeah, the most important, like we can question ki every school has a website, then why they require this easy schooling? But the question is this: the parents trust us because here they can see all the school and any partner school. While partnering, we screen the things. We only put the information which is relevant and which is there only. So that's how we build the trust with the parents. And as you rightly said, there are many schools who don't require admissions, but they are with us because they want to facilitate the parents. So they need not to come into their offices to apply. And
Yes.
It's not possible for parents to know all the schools. Most of the parents, new age parents, don't have time. They are getting transformed from here and they are living in societies. They don't have time.
Even sir, the schools, the good schools like Lakshmi ma'am's school or Kajal ma'am's school or sir's school, Tarra ma'am's school, they may not be liking for the admissions. But because if you are an old school or you are a reputed school, it is much more difficult for that school to maintain the reputation. It's on the stake of the reputation of the school that we have to maintain our reputation, because the people of the society has so much expectations from us. That is for sure.
For
That is for
example,
sure.
for example, prior to Corona, many schools were not very comfortable with the online teaching, but now they are forced, and now they have to adopt the new things. In the same way, I mean, in coming days they have to adopt this process. They have to go to some portal where
Yes,
parents
for
have
sure.
multiple things to compare and apply the things.
Sir,
That
when the
is my-
when the ATM machines were not there and manually on the that big
Yeah.
registers was maintained, when the private banks came and the government bank, changes have to be made according to scenario, and the scenario shows that this is a trend now, which is what I feel when I heard about this easy schooling system. That's great. Thank you, Krishna sir. You have shown the insightness of easy schooling, how you are helping the parents at the gap you are filling. You're not we won't call you a mediator. You're filling the gap between the parents and about the school. The parents are able to know the best about the school, which they are not able to go into the websites and all. That's great.
Yeah. It's a pleasure for your show, and thanks for inviting me. And
That is my pleasure, sir. And it is a topic of long discussion, but we have to wind up the session at this time. Thank you so much, everyone. The eminent guests present, Lakshmi ma'am, Tarna ma'am, Rajiv sir, Kajal ma'am, and Krishna Pandey sir, that you have given your valuable time over here to discuss on this topic. I'm very delighted and obliged from all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.